My name is Michelle Chowrimootoo, and I was born in Stepney in 1962 in the East End Maternity Hospital on Commercial Road. My dad came to London from Mauritius in May 1957, and the story I'm telling is what he told me and also memories from my sister Marlene and my brother-in-law Henry. He joined the British Army and was posted to Cyprus and Egypt during and after the Second World War. He travelled to England on a ship, with the fare being paid for by the British government as a payoff or pension for being in the army. He'd left there with no money, but by the time he'd arrived at the British port, he'd made some income by cutting people's hair on the ship. The journey would have taken around 2 months, sailing through the Suez Canal before reaching Europe. He told me he worked for a Jewish barber in Whitechapel as a trainee, and this would have been before my mum came in 1961 with 2 of my sisters. We lived in a tenement building called Montefiore House on Cannon Street Road. This is a photograph of Marlene and myself in Cannon Street Road, and Montefiore House is just out of shot on the right. This was taken, we think, in 1964. Our home was very basic and did not have a bath. Marlene and Henry lived at number 4 and we were in number 16, 2 floors up. I remember the tin bath where my mother used to fill it with hot water from the kettle, and quite a few of us lived there, so it must have been a huge job for her to do. At that time there was still a predominantly Jewish community in the area, and I got my ears pierced in the synagogue 2 doors down from where we lived. One of the first places where my dad barbered was the Angel in Islington before my mother arrived. The first barber shop he rented was near the Troxy on Commercial Road in 1961, and then he had another in Cable Street around the corner. But by 1970 we'd moved home further east, and he was renting a shop opposite the George Cohen scrap metal merchants. I remember the huge sign opposite our shop, which was also on Commercial Road. He moved for the final time, taking out a mortgage on a dilapidated property on the corner of Barn Street and Commercial Road opposite Limehouse Station, which was then Stepney East Rail Station. The property was 3 stories high with a basement and a garage. By now he was well known in the area and opened up a hairdressing section where my sisters would work, eventually to be called Marlene, Tony and Sue's Ladies and Gents Hairstylist, to include my sisters. Barbering was always at the front and busy. My dad would shave with a cut-throat razor. There was a leather strap and a chunk of flint where he would sharpen the blade before shaving. I'd watch with fascination by the skill and precision. Later in the 1980s, when HIV became an issue, disposable blades were used, and he would buy Wilkinson's blades, cut them in half and slide them into the razor. They had to be changed after each use. My dad was always very serious at work, and the men's side was quiet, but the women's side was loud and chatty, and there was always the radio on. I did spend a lot of time here. I worked, as many do, for the family business. In fact, 4 of us sisters eventually were all working together with my grumpy dad. I never cut hair. I avoided hairdressing school, unlike my other sisters, as I knew I'd end up working there all the time, but I wanted to be a musician. I'd been playing drums ever since I was 10, and in 1981 I left school and worked for my dad while rehearsing with bands and gigging. I remember the Queen's Silver Jubilee. My dad was a royalist. Like many from the colonies, he was proud to be British. He added Silver Jubilee 1962 to 1977 in neon lights to the shop sign in the same year. and he would sometimes walk along the commercial road in his bowler hat and suit. He'd get stares from people, though I think he liked the attention. Our customers tended to be older women who'd come for a wash and set, with various colours of setting lotion, or they'd come for a curly perm, which was our speciality. When Dad died in 1999, the heart went out of the business, and although they tried for a while, my sisters no longer wanted to keep it going. It was a big place to look after. My sisters have retired from hairdressing, but my younger sister has carried on as a hairstylist. And in the last couple of years, my nephew has started a new career as a barber and hairdresser. This is him as a child having his hair cut by his mother. I think my dad would have been very proud.